ladies. Today's discussion is about upwardly mobile Black women being thrown under the bus. We are going to use the discussion of the FEMA employee who was terminated because of the bypassing of Trump supporters. But this is a larger discussion that I want to have. I hope at some point Mentor Shelley either comes in or gives her commentary with regard to this. But I got a few things to say about this as well from our point of view. So I'm going to put on the 90-second clock, give people a chance to come in, and then we are going to have this conversation. So here is the 90-second clock. Welcome to Black Women Making Money. We are the home of the upwardly mobile Black woman. For exclusive content and invitations to our Inner Circle Zoom meetings, which happen on a monthly basis, you can sign up for free for our email newsletter at bwmakingmoney.com. That's bwmakingmoney.com. Hello, ladies. Welcome to Freedom Friday. I'm free. I hope you are too. Unfortunately, the person we are talking about today is going through it. So my prayers go out to this woman. Her name is Marquis Wilson, I believe is her last name. And we are going to have a discussion about when people in the workplace throw upwardly mobile Black women under the bus. There was a woman who, first of all, about 2 months ago, there was a storm that hit North Carolina, and then there was another storm that hit Florida, and people were complaining that FEMA was not going and helping Trump supporters. They were saying that, FEMA, some people were saying that FEMA was changing the weather pattern and all of that. And of course, me, I'm like, okay, this is like weirdness, right? But it came out. Daily Wire did an expose stating that, yes, FEMA was bypassing Trump supporters. And when I first heard it, I thought, actually, I saw it on Erica's channel. I saw it a couple of places, but I didn't really believe it until I saw it on Erica's channel. And then I was like, okay, well, let me dig a little bit more in here and see what's happening. I was quiet for a couple of days, and now Roland Martin has interviewed the Black woman. She was a woman who worked for a property management company, and she also had a side job working for FEMA. And now she is 0 for 2. She is totally unemployed because of this. As upwardly mobile Black women, we need to have this conversation because sometimes things are happening in our workplaces and we're not properly documenting. a la Mentor Shelley telling you, I'm telling you, sometimes we don't have the right networks in place in advance. Sometimes we need to, instead of getting a second job, we need to start that side business that can keep us afloat, things like that. So, this conversation, we're using this woman as an example. However, it's more than her. It is like, what are the things that we need to do in order to protect ourselves in the workplace? Because there's a saying, I don't know if the young people still say it, but in my age demographic, almost 50 years old, that SHIT rolls downhill. And some of us, we are moving, progressing as upwardly mobile people. However, we're not at the top yet, or we're not high enough yet and cushioned enough yet. So, how do we protect ourselves during those times where we're actually elevating and moving up? So, that's a conversation for today that we're going to have. So, I'm also uniquely qualified, I think uniquely within this space to talk about this because I live in a rural area. I've lived in a city, I've lived in a suburb, and now I live in rural America. And I will tell you right now, there are two men on our street that if you drive onto their property, they will pull out the pew pews as well. The difference is that all of us on this street know that these two specific driveways, you do not go through at all. One of them is married and they have domestic stuff going on and all of that. And everybody knows, stay away from that that house, right? And then another person on my street, he, like, everybody knows, it's the unspoken thing. When we moved in, somebody told my mom, like, hey, do not go to this house, or don't even accidentally like say, oh shoot, I gotta turn around and go back home. And like, sometimes you turn into a driveway and then you pull out. They're like, don't do it for these two houses, right? But if you're a FEMA worker, you don't know who's who, you don't know what's what. So they set up certain protocols within FEMA, and now it's biting them in the butt. But guess who is paying the price? This woman here, Marquis Wilson. This woman here is paying the price. So, yes, we're going to listen to a Roland Martin interview. Um, we are not listening to it from Roland Martin's channel just because I want to play a little bit of the extended information with regards to this. So, we're just going to be listening to the audio with regards to this. However, she is, in my opinion, an upwardly mobile Black woman. She had a job with her, um, with a property management company. She had a second job with FEMA, and now it's all gone right now. So before I do that, Blossoming Bloom is in the building. Hello, ladies. Tori and Dreams here saying that the funding course I did was pure gold. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for actually listening to it and embracing the content for that. So if anybody's wondering what Tori and Dreams is talking about, it's the showmethemoneycourse.com, showmethemoneycourse.com. If you're interested in being a real estate investor, you want to learn how to house hack, you want to learn how to make money from real estate, I have a down payment assistance program that I talk about in there as well. It's totally free for you to get into that course and listen to the content you need to listen to in order to get the funding that you need for your real estate. And Torian backed up her statement with some money. So thank you so much for the 199 super chat. Alonzo is saying, salute to you, Alonzo. Sweat your hair out. I like that. Is saying, oh my. And also saying, no K turns by Billy Bob. Definitely not. Definitely not. Not on my street. Two houses. They were like, don't even think about it. Go somewhere else in turn. So Alrighty then. So what I want to do is I'm going to play a little bit of her conversation with Roland. We're not going to play it all, but I do want to let you know during this conversation, she was quite nervous, which is understandable. She has become the target of this thing. And let me tell you, there are a lot of people within FEMA that are high up that should be fired. Whether or not they will be, we'll see what happens. But head needs to roll with regards to FEMA because the truth is that when people are experiencing, and this is where I want to have some compassion for the people who don't want people on their property. Um, Most of you can understand that. Make myself bigger here so you can see what I'm saying. Most of you can understand that when natural disasters happen, sometimes people will take advantage of that and will loot, right? They will try to come to your property, take your stuff, things like that. So it is important for, I'm sorry, something on my computer keeps like switching over. Um, I understand why some of the people would be hostile to somebody that they don't know coming onto their property, especially in rural places, um, because you don't know who those people are, right? So there's a part of me that understands that. Do I think that all of those people are, altruistic and just trying to protect their property? No, I'm not that naive. But I do understand it from, a certain point of view. But again, this woman has this entire thing. She was a woman of limited power. She was a manager over a group of volunteers at FEMA. And for whatever reason, with her limited power, they have decided to make her the face of this issue. So let's hear a little bit of her interview. I'm going to let it play for a few minutes. Just so you all can hear the basics of uh, what happened and her initial question and answer with Roland Martin. Let's hear it.
That said a Federal Emergency Management Agency employee told folks there in Florida not to go to the homes of folks who had Donald Trump signs on their property. About 20 Lake Placid, Florida homes were skipped over. It did not receive door-to-door service. Now, this, of course, led to lots of outrage. You had Republicans like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis calling this discrimination. You had MAGA folks saying this is shameful and despicable. You've had FEMA apologizing for this. Well, Marnie Washington says the homes were skipped due to political hostility aimed at the workers. And you remember, in North Carolina, some federal FEMA workers were met with guns from folks in that particular state. Marnie Washington, who is that employee who was fired, joins us now from California for this exclusive interview. Marnie.
Okay, so one of the things that happens when you run a big company or a big organization is the managers will take like the past, um, the ways that people have been working and reacting, and tell the employees, tell the lower level managers. I wish this woman was a lower level manager. They will say, okay, based on what we've seen, based on the trends that we've seen, this is how you protect yourself. This is how you engage with people, disengage with people, etc. Um, at the time, FEMA could have done a better job of talking with Ron DeSantis, talking with whomever the governor of North Carolina is, putting out a PSA saying, hey, these FEMA employees are coming to your area. Let them in, let them assist you. They did not do that. For some of us in our jobs, whether they're full-time jobs, part-time jobs, things that we're doing, when crap rolls downhill, it is because we see or we should be aware of certain things that are happening from upper management where we're like, ooh, that call sounds a little dicey. And you know what? Crap rolls downhill. So, um, this woman, she'll say it, that she started working with FEMA in 2019. 2019. This is when Trump was in office. She started working with FEMA. By the end of 2019, she should have been gone. Once she had discovered these things. So within your corporate, especially if you're like a lower level manager or you have certain types of jobs, there are certain things that you need to look at and look out for and say, what's the worst thing that could happen in this scenario? And if that's the case, could this could I be liable or could I have issues economically because of this? And FEMA absolutely did throw this woman under the bus. They did. Um, Dean is saying people like to make fun of Roland Martin, but this is commendable reporting on his part. Yeah, look, Roland Martin did that Tiffany Henyard interview, which was a damn mess. I could not believe Roland Martin. I knew that no, Roland Martin is competent interviewer. He must have gotten paid or something like that because I couldn't believe it. But this interview, I actually listened to all of it, and it was very, very good reporting on his part. So um, yeah, sometimes Roland is hit or miss, but let's keep listening.
Morning, glad to have you here. So let's walk through this. First of all, when were you notified? Because the Daily Wire said there was a whistleblower who made this point. Go ahead.
I was notified after I demobbed. The next morning, they told me verbally I was fired, but they never provided me anything in writing stating that I was fired. They all alleged that these actions were made on my own recognizances and that it was for my own political advances. However, if you look at the record, there is what we call a community trend. And unfortunately, it just so happened that the political hostility that was encountered by my team, and I was on two different teams during this deployment, they just so happened to have the Trump campaign signage. FEMA always preaches avoidance first and then de-escalation. So this is not isolated. This is a colossal event of avoidance, not just in the state of Florida, but you will find avoidance in the Carolinas. Senior leadership will lie to you and tell you that they do not know. But if you ask the DSA crew leads and specialists what they are experiencing in the field, they will tell you. Demand for FEMA to give you those incident reports. They will substantiate what is happening to us in the field.
Okay, so put a 1 in the chat if you would ever work in a place where people are hostile to you. You know, the way that she's describing it, there are lots of incidents and lots of places where they're going where they are met with hostility and where they are, they have pew-pews pointed at them, where people are coming at them. Put a 1 in the chat if you would ever work someplace like that. Put a 2 in the chat if you would pack your bags and go. Put a 1 in the chat if you would actually work someplace in an environment where you are trying to help people and they're pew-pewing you and all of that. Put a 2 in the chat if you're like, hey, I'm out. I'm out. 2, I'd be gone with the wind. Flo Jersey would stay and help. Jay Antoinette would be gone. Gone. Sweat your hair out. I know you meant 0. I know you meant you'd be gone too. Sometimes, and again, this is crap rolling downhill, right? This woman is with FEMA. The way that she's describing it now, it sounds like there's a lot of incidents where these FEMA workers were going into certain areas and she was managing these volunteers. And they were met with so much hostility from too many people that management ended up saying, okay, once you encounter 2 people on the same street that give you hostility, then you have to avoid the entire street. This is like people upwardly mobile Black women taking jobs, I hate to say it, in certain schools, in certain environments, in certain, in certain corporations where the entire place is hostile. Who is an upwardly mobile Black woman wants that? Now, I'm going to tell you that part of the issue with many of us with regards to being in these hostile environments is our lack of network and our lack of technical skills and our lack of soft skills, which is why I'm always hammering on you. I messed up this woman's name, but I'm going to call her Marnie because I can't remember what her name is. I apologize for that. But actually, I shouldn't do that. Let me look at her name really quickly. FEMA scandal, and get her name really quickly because that's not right that I can't remember what her name is. Let's see here. You know who has her name? The Daily Wire will have her name because they put her entire business out here. What's the name of this relief worker here? Marnie, I think it's Marnie Washington or something like that. Okay, well, I can't seem to find it now. So if anybody finds this woman's name, then you all can let me know because I didn't want to just say, here we go. Let me see here. Her name is Marnie Washington. That's her name. Okay, I just want to find it. Yes, thank you, Tobines. Marnie Washington. Yes. Marnie Washington, when I was listening to this, it seemed like she didn't have a strong enough network in order to be able to make a move. And I have told you a lot of the reason why I've started networking locally. I have a great network in the Washington, D.C. area, but here where I live now, I didn't have a network, like pretty much at all. In the beginning of the year, I made a promise to go out and I made a promise to start networking locally because too many of us as upwardly mobile Black women, we don't have the network and we don't have the skills to make a move. We don't. So she's in a toxic environment. She's saying she did it because she loves her country and she wants to help people, but she can't make a move. Have worked in similar environment once. I worked in a toxic environment once as well. And thank goodness I was able to get out of it quickly, right? I might as well work in law enforcement in that case. I know at least you would have the right to have a pew pew. And Donald Trump is coming back in. You getting qualified immunity 100%. So, but yeah. So let's keep listening to what this woman is saying here.
Okay, so let's go through that. And you also sent a text message to folks. You said, my civilian job has severed ties based on their core values, which is based on FEMA's determination of firing me. You laid the core values. You said, which of these did I violate? You said, I did not vote for Kamala. I'm nonpartisan. FEMA did not give me fairness. They violated their own values. They know homes are being skipped due to political hostile encounters. So when you say you didn't vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, did you not vote at all in this election?
Correct.
And so
I didn't even have an opportunity to vote at all in this election due to the amount of deployment requests and the high demand of help that is needed with FEMA.
So, okay. So you normally do vote. You simply didn't vote in this election.
Correct.
Okay. So let's go through this. And again,
I'm gonna call a little BS on her. The question that Roland, well, he didn't have to ask her. I'm projecting now. The question is, who would she have voted for? She did not vote for anybody because she didn't have time to vote for anybody. The question is, who would she have? Mentor Shelley, I want you to talk about this as well. I want, if you can, talk about this, whether it's here with me or at some other point. I think it's important for you to talk about people documenting, because I think this woman has a documentation issue, majorly. She's got some stuff, but I don't think she covered her butt well enough, Mentor Shelley. So Art Johnson saying, yeah, that's full. Yeah, look, I think she is a Kamala supporter. That's just me, you know? And that doesn't mean she has the right to have pew pews thrown on her, but you know, that's my thought about that. And you may say, well, what does her being a Kamala supporter have to do with it? Here's the problem with that is that if Trump supporters believe that she or bypass them because she's a Kamala supporter, perception means so much. Perception, I don't want to say perception is everything, but perception accounts for a lot, right? So um, you want to be able to navigate like how people are perceiving you in that role. And that may sound unfair, but from a strategic point of view, we play chess, not checkers over here. And we do that because we need to be able to think 5 steps ahead. Mentor Shelley, the reason why I said that I think she has a documentation issue is because there were various parts of this interview that she did with Roland Martin where she's like, go ask FEMA for this, go ask FEMA for that. Now, there were some things that she gave to Roland Martin and he put it up on the screen and things like that. But some of her answers seemed a little shaky with regards to this. So that is my thought with regards to that. And for us, this conversation is using her as an illustration, but it really is about us and how we document things, especially when it comes to things that could be very controversial and that could bite us on the butt at the end of the day, which it has happened for this woman, Marnie Washington. So let's keep listening here.
They say you skipped the homes, and so when you talk about the incident reports, have you released those publicly? Have you released the report saying this is where I notified FEMA executives of these particular homes and how they were hostile to our workers?
So I have not relinquished any reports. And any time that we relinquish reports, we do not state specific homes due to PII. What we do is we discuss community trends. So if we are noticing, for example, on Mary Street, you'll find 3 or 4 homes that we tried to canvass and we were greeted with unwelcomed arms or people are coming out guns blazing or screaming at us, then that's a street we need to avoid altogether.
Okay, so so first and foremost, you work with, is it Avanoth?
Oh, that's my civilian job, Avanoth, yes.
Okay, all right, so I'm sorry. So explain us civilian job and fire from FEMA for folks who don't understand.
Yes, at home, I have a regular job like everyone else. I have an executive position. I take care of things there. For that job, I'm in contract with them on their terms. And then for FEMA, I work as a reservist. So my time for them is on call based on deployment orders that I receive.
So explain that we say the deployment. FEMA's not military. So what does that actually mean?
Deployment means that they are asking you to leave your resident of records and to respond to a natural disaster on United Nations land.
Okay, and that, so how long?
United Nations land, that means you could go overseas, technically? I didn't pick up on that the first time. That just seems interesting. So, Mentor Shelley, one of the things she said earlier was that they pick up on trends based on the street, but they do not write the addresses. To me, like for my own personal records and my own diary, I'm gonna need the specifics, not just Mary Street, but like I encountered this person at 123 Main Street at 3:34 p.m. On this date, and this is what happened. So yeah, that's part of what I'm talking about. But the hostility, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I want to play a little bit more for you a little bit later on in her conversation with Roland. because we're not going to listen to it all. I really just wanted to come and talk for a few minutes with you about the fact that this woman was thrown under the bus. She had two jobs. She has lost both of her jobs. She has a home that she had to move from because and move in with relatives. She's in an undisclosed location. People are sending her death threats. They're calling her a DEI hire, all sorts of crazy, crazy stuff, right? And this is where sometimes we need to take a step back and say, hey, I want to be a FEMA worker, a FEMA reservist, but there are certain places I won't go. Or sometimes you say, hey, there are certain toxic environments that I'm not going to go into, or certain toxic environments where if I see it's toxic, I'm out. I'm leaving, right? Some people, some Black people do stuff that's on the borderline legal. And then when the feds or whomever comes to the company and says, hey, who's in charge of this? They're pointing at you. They're pointing at me, you know. So we do need to protect ourselves, ladies. Miss Phoenix is saying, where was her CYA documentation? She should have had it. I think she has some stuff, but I'm not getting the feeling that she has a lot. I don't know. Toby is saying, I thought she said they don't make addresses public, but they are in the notes, right? No, this is what she's saying. She's saying that they would not document the addresses at all. That FEMA, so if you listen to this whole interview, she's saying that FEMA would just have them say, hey, there was a house on Mary Street and I was met with resistance. And then she would go to the next house. There was a second house on Mary Street. I was met with resistance. But they would not record the address. They wouldn't do it. So no, it's not documented. I think it should have. I think her CYA documentation should have. Well, number one, I wouldn't have been working there. But number two, her CYA documentation should have been a little bit stronger, in my opinion. All right, let's listen to a couple of more minutes with regards to this.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like, now again, FEMA has not released these reports. They apologize and they're going to fix these issues. Would you like for the House Oversight Committee, Congressional Black Caucus, and others to actually call you and say, oh, if y'all want the truth, call me to a hearing and let's put it all out there so folks can understand? Because clearly FEMA has fired you. Your other job has fired you. That's cost you significant amounts of money. You're unemployed. And so you're being made out to be this evil anti-MAGA person.
I want you to listen to her answer to this very carefully because Roland set it up. They have basically made her the scapegoat of this, right? She had two jobs. Now she's got no job. She's unemployed. She's running from her house to somebody else's house, etc. I want you to listen to her response to this because it was very telling.
Yes, I take all help and assistance right now. And I also have FEMA employees that have called me and said they will come forward and they will tell their stories and they will share with you all their truths about what it is we experience in the field every day.
She will take all help and assistance right now, meaning that she does not have the right network of people set up. When this woman was on the screen, she was alone. Where was her attorney? She basically said, I don't know if she says it in this section or someplace else. I think she says in this section that I'm going to play for you that, if somebody's an attorney, will they help her? No, you as upwardly mobile Black woman, I as an upwardly mobile Black woman, we need to have our attorneys in place before we end up like this. What attorneys do we need in place? You all can put it in the chat. For me, I need a business attorney. I need a criminal attorney, or at least I need to know where to go get one, right? I need an employment attorney. What other attorneys do we need in place? Or we have to have the network where we know where let's say I call Billy Bob And Billy Bob gets me in touch with Jason. And Billy Bob says to Jason, hey, Cherie is good people. Take care of her. This is a networking issue, ladies. You need a tax attorney. You need a tax attorney that will go into the IRS, especially if you have a business. Absolutely. What other attorneys do we need? This is where I want you to participate as well. So, criminal attorney, business attorney, tax IRS attorney, at least I have to have access to one, right? I don't want to be flipping through Google looking for somebody. I need to know who these people are in advance because shit rolls downhill. And you, as an upperly mobile Black woman, you will be taking the brunt of these things. You need a divorce lawyer before you get married. Talk to one. And hey, Kat, good to see you. Absolutely. What other attorneys do we need? What other people in our networks do we need? And we need to actually set it up so we have these people, either we know them or we know the connector in our community that could get us the people that we need. Definitely a landlord tenant attorney. Definitely. Especially if you live in a landlord friendly state. Definitely need a landlord attorney. Thank you, Zenny. I don't think I've seen you before. All right, I want to play a little bit more of what she's saying. Ladies, continue to put like what other people we need. We need a very good CPA, for example. We need a very good financial advisor or financial coach that could get us out of certain things. Sometimes you need a Karen. I said it. Sometimes you need a Karen who's like, oh, hell no. And she can use her power. Sometimes you need a Chad. But you got to build these networks before you need them. She doesn't have any of these people. An accident attorney. Absolutely. I have a really good accident attorney that I know. Cybersecurity friends. Absolutely. She was caught out here without her documentation. I still stand by it. I think she has some things, but it could have been tighter. And without her network. Let's keep listening.
You talked about what you are going through. Do you have a family?
I do. And I have people calling me saying that they're going to rape me and that they're going to give me a proper nigger lynching. I have people calling me, telling me that I am a horrible person, saying ungodly things to me.
And all of this started because once this story, when the Daily Wire was published.
Because FEMA allowed the search team to leak confidential information to the newspaper that went national, and there is no protection for me. FEMA sent me an email with 10 sheets of paper and said, this is how you are supposed to protect yourself. There are people in my family and in various residents that we own where they are receiving pizza so they can try to pinpoint where I actually live or try to locate where I am.
This was one of the emails that was sent to you here. And this person said, who the hell do you think you are to do what you did? You MFDEI hire. How dare you tell your employees to not assist hurricane damage homes if they had a Trump sign in front? You stupid bitch, racist, tough crap now, you miserable jackass. Trump won by huge numbers, and there's not a damn thing that you and your sick Democrat friends and colleagues can do about it. Your whole crowd is done. Only a stupid lefty company would hire a pathetic loser like you, dumbass. And you said you've got more emails like this since this story went public?
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. Very bad. Yeah, you're saying, wow, I feel horrible for her. But ladies, I'm telling you now, build your networks, get your skills together, build your networks, have resources in place. Have resources in place, have that emergency fund in case shit rolls downhill. It's good that she has family that she can stay with. If you don't have family, if you don't have friends, you need a friend network, a family network that'll be there with you. And if you're looking, if you're working in a toxic environment and you're working in an environment where you're like, If something happens here, I could be the target for like a major news story like this. I'll be honest with you, the worst thing she ever did was work with FEMA. And not because FEMA is not a good organization. Well, no, FEMA is not a good organization. Not because it is hurricane relief or natural disaster relief that's the issue, but because she was in a management position in an environment that was toxic and wasn't working for her. One of the most interesting things and best things I've seen Black women say after this election season is over is we're resting for 4 years. Don't call us, we're resting for 4 years. She would have done infinitely better with her property management job and a little candle business on the side. If all she had was her little property management job and a candle business on the side, she would not have been the featured person in the Daily Wire. This would not be her today. So one of the things we can learn as upwardly mobile Black women is sometimes it ain't worth it. Burn the freaking cape. I said it. You're right. Get somebody else to do it. I'm not doing it. Why do Black women have to always run out and save everybody? The best thing you can do for yourself is burn the cape. Otherwise, you may be thrown under the bus. You may be thrown under the bus. So, and FEMA is not paying for, she doesn't have any security, right? FEMA's not going to pay for any security, or any of that. Like, she's got more expenses coming out, no job. If she tries to file for unemployment, like, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. So Black women should stay out of FEMA. Absolutely. Absolutely. I am team #screw FEMA. Now, if I have a natural disaster, I want FEMA to come and help me, but I sure as hell ain't working for FEMA. And I don't suggest any of my upwardly mobile Black women do it either. I don't. Be extremely cautious taking risk if you don't have the support system. Even if you do have a support system, like let's say that Marnie was my friend. Would I really want her in my house knowing the kind of heat she's taking right now? Because if people found out that she was my friend and she was staying with me, what would they do to me? What would they do to my house? Who would come to my door? So no, we have to actually start thinking not only for ourselves, but for the other people around us. I have to be honest with you. If Marnie was my friend, I don't know if I would want her to stay with me with regards to this whole thing going on. I'll be very honest with you. I don't know if I would want that kind of heat on me. Purple Rain saying, yeah, I was looking into working for the federal government, but this came up and I was like, well, the federal government, now that you got Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy over there running government efficiency department that they just made up, Black women, Black people, and especially Black women, our unemployment rates are about to skyrocket because the last statistic I saw was 20% of Black people work for the government, whether it's federal, state, local. 20% of us work for the government. And you may say, oh, no problem. I got a good state job or I got a good city job. The federal government, once they start slashing taxes and all of this, depending on the amount of revenue that they bring in, the federal government funds a lot of cities and local municipalities. So if you work for the government at all, you'd better figure out something else. Now's the time to build your network. Now's the time to build your skills. If you want to start a business, great. Whatever it is you're going to do, figure it out. Um, Depends, because some government jobs don't let you work for yourself at the same time. Okay. All right. That's I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could take that job. This is where we need to be smart as UMBWs. I don't know if I would take that job. If a government organization could tell me that I could not start a side business, I don't know if I would take that job. I don't know. There was an Asian woman that got fired and fined for working as a consultant for 10 years as a federal employee, SMH. Now, I have heard, like, as a federal employee, there were certain types of jobs and certain types of side hustles you can't do. Like, you can't. I had a friend work with the federal government, and then she was thinking about being a proposal writer on the side, and they told her she couldn't do it. She had to leave her job. She was ready to retire anyway. But, like, I can't start a candle business. I can't start a loan signing notary business. Like, I can't be a loan officer on the side. Nothing. Yeah, she has no security, no personal bodyguards, and if she doesn't have any money, so that's so weird, especially in that federal agency, no security for their workers. Not only that, no security for their workers, so they're walking up and down these streets, right? And they're getting met with hostility. They don't call Ron DeSantis, for example, and say, "Hey, Ron, what we need you to do is we need you to get on the airways and everything and let people know that FEMA's coming through, and don't pew them," right? They don't have any local police officers on the street, no National Guard coming down to, like, walk beside the FEMA workers. Black women need to burn the cape. We do. That's the tricky thing with government. Your name and salary is public record. Yep, you're everything. They even know who you voted for and what party you're in. That's the truth. That's the truth. Mentor Shelley had to step away, but now she's back. Welcome back, Mentor Shelley. That's true. They ask if you have other employment. Yeah. I have heard that before. I just don't know if I would want to take a job where I couldn't have another hustle or side business or something. So seems like Black women in helping jobs end up screwed over most of the time. That is the comment of the day. Burn the cape. Hashtag burn the cape. Yeah, they consider a conflict of interest. Seems similar to the census jobs. Yeah, like, look, I understand that sometimes we need money. Sometimes we just want to do these things because, we think we're going to help and all of that. But I'm telling you now, it ain't worth it. As an upwardly mobile Black woman, it is not worth it. Trying to stay away from these helping service professions, but even doctors are a part of it. Yeah. Black women shouldn't work for helping industries. They knew not to send Black women in the mountains like that, putting us in danger in sundown towns. They knew better, yes, but this is where we have to be smart. We have to be smart. We have to be conscious. And there are jobs out there. There are work environments out there that are not worth it. They're not worth it. They also make you do a full background check, and they even talk to your elementary school teacher. Yeah, I would believe that. I believe that. I was on somebody's reference list for one of my very good friends for her federal government job. She works for, I want to say DSA or something like that. And yeah, look, guy met me at McDonald's, was trying to butter me up, asked me all sorts of questions. And yeah, they do. They talk to everybody. I'm not a proponent of taking jobs who's attempting to stop me from earning money outside of their job. Me neither. Which is interesting since I keep seeing how government contractors can make six figures since they have a clearance. Yes, so they'll have a security clearance, but there's a difference between being a government contractor and being like employed by the government contractor and like working for the government. Those are different. And there are some agencies that are just better than others. So I was rejected for a job in the Senate. Oh, I didn't know that. A job before my full-time finance job. I don't believe I wanted to be there after this election. Well, let me tell you something. I came to the DC area initially because I thought I wanted to be in politics. I want to be in international politics until I started hanging around with some politicians. I was like, hell no, I'm getting a good old-fashioned business degree, and that is it. Reminds me of beginning of the Ukraine-Russia war, and they had to warn Black people of the possible racism they may encounter while helping people. Shoot. Let me tell you something. I'm staying my Black butt right in Maryland. Okay? Huh. You don't have to tell me twice. Why are we running around trying to help people? This is part of the problem. Part of the problem. That's why it's important to read your employment agreements to know what you're getting into. I absolutely agree. And know the corporate culture. Know the corporate culture. If they're doing shady stuff, ladies, this is what I'm trying to tell you. If they're doing shady stuff, crap rolls downhill, which means that they will put your face as the face of the problem. Some of you have finance jobs. You could end up in front of the SEC. Some of you could end up in front of the FBI. Some of you could end up in front of some of these other three-letter organizations. It ain't worth it. There's too much money out here. Too much money. It's unfortunate what's happening to her, but I appreciate the lessons and reminders of this. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes, there are UMBWs who used to work for the ACLU, and she already made her exit and said it wasn't worth the stress. She's an influencer now. Yeah, look, it ain't worth it, ladies. It ain't worth it. This is a big lesson that we can learn with this Marnie Wilson. And don't complain to HR. You'll be a target. Talk to your own employment lawyer instead. Absolutely right. HR is there to protect the employer. They're there to protect the employer and the company. They are not there to protect you, which means you need to network enough where if you need an employment labor attorney, you know who to call in advance, or you know, like a couple of people who are super connected in the community that you can say, hey, I need an employment attorney. Oh, no problem. Go see Purple Rain. She's going to take good care of you. She's competent and she's a killer. Not that way. She's a shark, right? Because Marnie was on with Roland Martin by herself. Marnie should have been on with Roland Martin and her lawyer, Joshua Bernstein. Yeah, I'm saying it. Her lawyer, Sam Silverstein. Her lawyer, Chad Briggerton III, sitting by her, because that would have shown that she ain't playing. I know racism. I don't care. I want a Chad, or I want the best lawyer at Bernstein, Silverstein, and Thornton. Yes, I'm saying it, but y'all know I'm telling the truth, right? Black women don't have any power. We don't have any power. And you show up by yourself too often. You show up by yourself too often instead of that employment lawyer where people are like, oh, shoot, she hired him. And they start backing up from the table. Oh, shoot, she hired him. And all of a sudden, the conversation changed. This woman is out here by herself going up against FEMA. She doesn't stand a chance. Build your networks now. Get your technical skills together, get your soft skills together, get your network together, get the best job you possibly can, save your resources, and then build your network. Continue to build your network to have a defense around you in case something pops off. In case something pops off. You're saying here, Wigdor LLP is an employment law firm. Okay, so we need not only the law firm, we need the lawyer. We need the lawyer we can go into and they will kick butt. She needs a legal team, not just one person. I agree with that. I agree with that. So you walk in with the one person, but they know they have the legal team behind them. Or so we've seen like on the Today Show and things like that, when people are serious, what do? They're on camera with, who is it? Hoda, or I don't know any of the people on Today's Show anymore. It's them and their attorney right next to them. It's them and their attorney right next to them. That's psychological. They do that for a reason. They do that to let you know, I'm not coming in here by myself. I'm not coming in here by myself. Years ago, my great-grandmother left us some property, and there were some people who were trying to take it away from us. And the lawyers came in all smug. I'll never forget this Caucasian woman. She came in all smug as the lawyer, and she's like, we're about to take this property from this Black family. And then our lawyer stood up and her eyes got this big. Because of the type of court it was, mostly people come in and, they come in by themselves. No, we came in with not only an attorney, we came in with a damn good attorney. Her eyes were like this big. I'm like, lady, you got the wrong one. ADOS, I have a blue passport and I have a lawyer. You got the wrong one. You got to be like that. Or else they will throw. And in fact, they need to know that you're that chick when you walk through the door for the interview. They need to know that you are that chick when you walk in for the interview for that job. They need to know you're that chick that if you F me over, I got, who is this? Wigdor LLP, and I got one of the senior partners on speed dial who is a friend of mine and has been for the past 5 years. Now what? And you look at him just like that. Now what? Are we going to do business? Are you going to hire me for this position? Great. I'd love to come in. I'm top 10% in technical skills. I'm great with people, etc. But don't play. Oh, they represented Cassie. Okay. But don't play. And you got to be able to afford. Now, Cassie, who knows if she paid what do you call it, a retainer or not? But we have to be able to afford a retainer. We have to have the resources, which is why I'm telling you to have your technical skills, your soft skills, your multicultural networks, but to also have your resources. Have either something saved or the ability to get the retainer that you need in case you need one. Because not everybody's going to do everything pro bono. Sometimes you got to walk in there with a check. And you walk in there and you tell the person, look, this is $10,000. It's a retainer. But all I need you to do is come to this meeting and scare the crap out of them. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes they'll play with you. Sometimes they'll try to run out the clock, all of that, etc. You know, but can we start thinking strategically? Can we start thinking strategically? So, Mentor Shelley has an employment attorney in the family, so she's blessed. Glad to hear it. And I'm going to leave with this comment. Sometimes the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Sometimes the juice ain't worth the squeeze. That's the big thing with this conversation that we're having here. So she made some money with FEMA as a reservist. And she had her full-time job, and now it's all gone. And the juice from FEMA wasn't worth the squeeze. She would have done infinitely better having her full-time property management job and having a candle business on the side, having a perfume business on the side, selling some courses through Teachable, doing some middleman to millions. She would have done infinitely better helping landlords know their rights, for example, not being a lawyer, but, just understand like how to navigate their rights when dealing with tenants. Anything would have been better than this because the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And years of hard work and gone just like that. It's going to be hard for her to bounce back. It really is. So, all right, ladies, I was on here much longer than I had intended to be. But I hope that you're just heeding what I'm saying and you start once a week networking. If you're child free, once a week. If you have children, once a month. And don't just network in your industry, network in your industry, and then also find a place that's just general networking. So you can meet different people in your community in case something pops off. I've been saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it. So I hope that you all are heeding the warning. Like the video on the way out, ladies. I will see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.